In Indian politics, fathers often pass on constituencies to their sons. But in Tamil Nadu, one father and son passed on something very different, two election battles that ended in the Supreme Court. And the most remarkable part, both of them fought these battles from the same constituency, Cheran Mahadevi in Tirunelveli district. This is the fascinating story of P.H. Pandian and his son P.H. Paul Manoj Pandian and the extraordinary election battles. Hello, I'm T. Suresh Kumar and you're watching Tamil Nadu elections with the Hindu. Today, let's take a look at a story that reminds us of something very important. In Indian democracy, the battle for an election does not always end on counting day. Let us start in 1991 when the Tamil Nadu Assembly elections were held in the midst of a massive sympathy wave following the assassination of former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi in Sri Perumbudur. In the Cheran Mahadevi constituency, one of the contestants was P.H. Pandian, a former Speaker of the Tamil Nadu Assembly. Now, P.H. Pandian was famous for declaring that the Speaker has sky high powers. That colorful remark later became part of Tamil Nadu's political folklore. But in the 1991 election, Pandian, who contested as an independent candidate, faced an electoral setback. The seat was won by Pudu Nayanar Adityan of the AIADMK, and what followed was a 5-year legal battle that eventually reached the Supreme Court. Why? Because of election expenditure. Now, under the Representation of the People Act, candidates must maintain a correct account of campaign expenses and stay within the spending limits. Pandian urged that Adityan had used two campaign vehicles during the election, but in his official election expense statement, he declared only one vehicle. The argument was simple: if both vehicles were accounted for, then the legal spending limit would have been exceeded, which would amount to a corrupt practice under Section 123(6) of the Representation of the People Act. The Madras High Court accepted Pandian's argument and set aside Adityan's election. The matter eventually reached the Supreme Court. It examined the evidence before it very carefully. Now, Adityan, in his written statement, admitted using the second vehicle, but crucially, the vehicle was not declared in the official expense account. The candidate did not produce detailed accounts, nor did he testify to explain the discrepancy. The court then held that the suppression of the second vehicle's expenditure justified an adverse inference, and therefore his election was declared void for corrupt practice. Pandian had lost the election in 1991, but after 5 years of litigation, he won the case in the Supreme Court in 1996. Now, 15 years later, the story took another turn. In 2006, Pandian's son Manoj Pandian, a lawyer and politician, entered the electoral arena from the same Cheran Mahadevi constituency on an AIADMK ticket. But he lost to Congress candidate P. Veldurai. Just like his father had done years earlier, Manoj Pandian also decided to challenge the election result in court. Why? Because Veldurai was a government contractor, and under Section 9A of the Representation of the People Act, a person cannot contest elections if they have subsisting contracts with the government. The allegation was that Veldurai still had an ongoing highway construction contracts with the Tamil Nadu government when he had filed his nomination. Veldurai claimed he had already terminated these contracts before filing the nomination, but the High Court initially accepted his explanation and dismissed Manoj Pandian's election petition. But the story did not end there. Manoj Pandian took the fight to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court examined the termination process carefully. A 1951 government order governed how contractors could withdraw from government projects if they wished to contest elections, and the court found several critical issues. Now, only the chief engineer had the authority to terminate such contracts, but in this particular case, the contracts were cancelled by a divisional engineer, and much later, the termination was ratified by a superintending engineer. Therefore, the Supreme Court ruled that this procedure was invalid. Because the chief engineer had never terminated the contracts legally continued to exist when Veldurai filed his nomination, which meant Veldurai was disqualified from contesting the assembly election. The court declared his election null and void. So, once again, the candidate who lost the election eventually won in the Supreme Court. This case also took 5 years for the final verdict. Clearly, this is one of the most unusual father son election battles in Indian legal history. And there's one final twist to this remarkable story. The constituency where these legal battles took place, Cheran Mahadevi, no longer exists. After the 2011 delimitation of assembly constituencies in Tamil Nadu, Cheran Mahadevi disappeared from the electoral map. But its legacy survives through these two extraordinary election cases where two generations of the same family won. Thank you for watching. I shall meet you in another video.